Your EGS is your GPS. Now, we all know that a GPS nowadays didn't, a couple of decades ago, but now we know that a GPS is our global positioning system. It's a way to tap into, first for our cars and for directions, and now everybody's cell phone, pretty much all the cell phones nowadays have a location and a positioning system where we can know where we are at any given time. So we know here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and it'll give us the directions to get from where we are to where we want to go. That's your GPS. Well, guess what? Inside each and every one of us, we have something called an EGS, or an emotional guidance system. Now, this was presented by Abraham Hicks. You can Google it and look it up. A long time ago, I don't remember when they first started their teachings, Esther and Jerry Hicks, the teachings of Abraham's, and it's kind of woo-woo for a lot of people, but it's become a pretty mainstream belief system that we as human beings are guided, literally guided by our emotions. Our emotions lead everything. We feel things before we think them, before we actually can decide or question or judge or choose anything for ourselves. Our feelings are automatic. They're the one of the oldest parts of our brain to keep us safe, to keep us, our subconscious keeps us safe, and that's where our emotions live. That they live in our subconscious, so they're automatically triggering and acting faster than anything else that we can control. We feel our emotions first. Well, our emotions actually correspond to what our body will do, right? If we feel afraid or frightened, our body will automatically go into flight mode, right? We'll run away. If we see a tiger or a bear, we start to run away, or depends on the type of bear. Now we know that we should freeze or roll in a little ball or whatever. But the point is, we feel our emotions first, and then after we're starting to feel a certain way, we start to think, and then as we're thinking, we decide how we're going to respond and act. Unless it's something that's life-threatening, and then our subconscious will automatically put us into action. Now, Abraham Hicks presented and shared with us an emotional guidance system, a system that allows us to look at our different emotions, find out where we are on this scale of our emotions, and then choose how we want to respond. So we're taking it from the subconscious to the more conscious level, and we can decide when we're feeling a certain way, do we want to keep feeling that way, or do we want to feel a different way? If I'm feeling angry or really, really upset or jealous, or I want revenge about something or with someone, do I want to feel that way? I can actually, instead of just feeling it, I can ask myself, okay, I'm feeling jealous, therefore I want revenge, therefore I'm angry. And as I'm asking myself questions on this scale of 1 to 22, all the different emotions have a different amount of energy, a different frequency associated with them. And a couple interesting things about this scale. And what I want you to do is I want you to Google the emotional guidance system. I want you to Google EGS, because there's a whole lot of graphics that are available, and I want you to pick the one that resonates with you, the one that feels right to you, the one that you're attracted to, because that's the one you'll look at and you'll use and you'll remember. I'm going to quickly run through the emotional guidance scale from 1 to 22, and I'm going to use my magnifying glass and cheat and read it, because I can't possibly remember them all. But what's important is, how do you feel? How do things make you feel? Do they make you feel lighter, or do they make you feel heavier? The heavier emotions are the negative emotions, and they have a higher number. And the numbers aren't important. It's like your level of intensity that you personally experience and feel. The positive emotions are lighter, and they make you feel lighter and literally lighter. I mean, I feel a lot lighter when I'm thinking about love than I do when I'm thinking about fear, grief, depression, right? Depression feels heavy to us, or to me. Love and joy and happiness and gratitude, those all feel lighter. And so it's, how does it feel and in your body and to you? And we all have this emotional guidance system that we're equipped with, and I don't think I even knew about it until I was probably, maybe maybe 2 decades ago. But I was like in my 40s and 50s before I even ever heard anything about this, or before I even knew that I could actually control my emotions and I could decide how I wanted to feel about things. Up until that point, I was like pretty much everybody else. I would just, something would happen, I would react. Something would happen, I would react. And then I realized that, oh, I get to choose how I'm going to react. I can choose how I'm going to respond to everything that happens to me. And that, guess what? That realization, it meant I had a lot more personal power, but I also had to be responsible. Once I knew that I could control my emotions, I now had to be responsible for how I reacted and how I responded to things. Am I always? Of course not, because sometimes people just trip our triggers and make us mad, and we react without thinking, without calmly reasoning through the emotional guidance system. So we all have one. We all can use it. We can all tap into it whenever we want. We lead with emotions. Some other things that I think are interesting is that the emotional guidance system, 7 of the levels are positive, 15 are negative. That means twice as many negative feelings automatically come up for us. And maybe that was because we needed to run if we were in danger or something. But our world has enhanced that, and it really increased the sense of lack and scarcity and fear and doubt and worry, especially during election years in America, right? That we experience. But even though that's out there, and we know that there's a 2-to-1 ratio of negative to positive emotions, it doesn't mean we can't choose to live in the positive emotions. So what is this scale? Let me grab this scale. Let me grab a magnifying glass and let me just read through it. Now, the smaller numbers are lighter, so 1 through 7 are the positive emotions, and that's kind of deceptive because at the level 1 there's like 5 or 6 things. Same is true of some of the negative levels. Level 10 there's 3, level 19 there's 2, and level 22 there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things too. So it's a little deceptive when I say 7 and 22, but it doesn't matter. The point is the overall big picture of the emotional guidance system. So the emotional guidance system, how do you use it? Let's talk about how you use it before I even talk about what the emotions are. What you do is you always want to reach for a better feeling for you, a lighter feeling. So you can look at the emotional guidance scale, and like I said, I used anger. If I'm angry and I want to feel better, I can reach for an emotion that's higher up on that scale. Usually you can't go from anger to love, or anger to gratitude, or anger to anything, because it's a big leap. It's going from 17 is anger to, say, optimism, hopefulness, contentment are 5, 6, and 7. That is a really big stretch. But I can go from anger to discouragement. I can be like, I'm super angry about this thing that happened, but then I can just say, all right, am I really angry, or am I just discouraged because it wasn't what I had hoped for? Then I can go from discouragement to blame, because blame is only 15 on the scale. And I could say, well, it's not really my fault, it's so-and-so's fault, or it's this circumstance's fault, it's not really my fault. And then if I don't want to stay in blame, I can say, okay, well, it's not really their fault, or it's not really this situation's fault. I'm just worried about this. I'm worried about this because X, Y, and Z. Then I can go from worry to doubt. Well, I'm worried about this because I'm not sure I know what to do about it. And then I can go from doubt to disappointment. Oh, I wish it had turned out differently. So I can work my way up the scale. So I'm not revenge, hatred, rage, anger. I'm moving up the scale to feel better and better and better till I get to a point of neutrality, and then I can choose to jump into the more positive emotions that I want to feel. I want to spend most of my life, don't most of us want to spend our life feeling happy, joyful, positive, love, contentment, optimism, hopefulness, things like that? I sure do. I don't want to spend much of my time being upset, angry, doubtful, worried, or fearful. So what's the scale? I'm just going to read the scale, but I encourage you to look it up and, read a couple paragraphs about this that explain it better than I am, because it is such a powerful tool to have in your toolbox. Because at any given time, and you don't have to memorize it or know it, just the most important thing is to remember that you always have the ability to reach for a lighter feeling emotion. And when we're feeling a lighter feeling emotion, we're giving off the energy and the vibrations of that emotion, and that's what we're attracting. If we're being angry and negative and fearful and doubtful and worried and competitive and all kinds of negative things, and we're radiating that message, those signals, that energy, that's what we're attracting. If we're worried about the competition, guess what we're attracting? More competition. If we're just doing our thing and serving people to the best of our ability and being ourselves, we're giving off positive energy, and we're attracting more opportunities that allow us to just be ourselves. So Let's start with the upward spiral emotions, which of course are my favorite 7. The first one, the first level one, is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and opportunity. I think that's what it says. I could be wrong. You might want to check the scale. Second is passion. Third, enthusiasm. Fourth is expectation and belief. Fifth is optimism. Sixth is hopefulness. 7 is contentment. And then we switch over to boredom, 8, which are the downward spiral emotions. So have you ever noticed when you start to feel a certain thing, you can start to reach for something that feels better and you'll start to go up and feel lighter? Or you can get in that downward spiral and you can say, oh, I'm bored. Now there's nothing to do. And that leads to pessimism, which is 9. And you start this downward spiral. Then you're like frustration, irritation, and impatience. That's 10. Sneaks in. 11 is overwhelmment. 12, disappointment. 13, doubt. 14, worry. 15, blame. 16, discouragement. 17, anger. 18, revenge. 19, hatred or rage. They have the same frequency. 20, jealousy. 21, insecurity, guilt, or unworthiness. And 22 is fear, grief, depression, victim, powerlessness. How do those make you feel versus joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and opportunity? Big difference in how those feel, at least in me. So, emotional guidance system, how can you use this to be your own personal GPS, to move you toward what you want? Well, we get what we want by upward spiraling. If we're feeling better, if we're feeling lighter, if we're feeling hopeful and happy and opportunity and seeing opportunities, we're moving toward what we want. At least most people want those things, and most people want to move toward what they want. I can't speak to if you want to move toward dark things or do evil. That's just not in my nature. I can't figure that out for you. You'll have to find a different person to mentor you on that. So, emotional guidance system. Look it up, Google it, just become familiar with it. Just look at it and see if it's something. If it's something you've never been exposed to before and you feel attracted toward it, investigate it, Google it yourself. If it's not, just let it go. But I will say it is one of my life lessons, one of the tools that I learned. Wish I'd learned it and known it when I was like a kid or a teenager, that I had a lot more control and personal power than I thought that I had. Would have saved me a lot of trial and error, time and energy, brokenheartedness and things along the way. But we find things when we're ready to find them. We're exposed to things when we're personally ready to receive them. So, emotional guidance system. Love to know what you think about it, what your experience has been with it. Maybe you did discover it when you were young and you're like light years ahead of me. Yay. That's it. That's our lesson for today in Setup for Success as we're getting ready for the next 30-day Get Up and Go Challenge. October 1st through 31st, join us right here on the Get Up and Go Challenge page for the next 30-day challenge to guarantee that you will be better off after any change or challenge you face than before. That's it. Have an awesome day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow with another Setup for Success. Check out the emotional guidance system. I think that it really has the ability to give you some incredible ahas and some, it's a tool that can really help you to skyrocket the trajectory that your life is going in. All right, have an awesome day. Catch you tomorrow.